All right, time now for some business news. And Kenya's headline inflation for the month of June fell to 4.6% after remaining stable in the previous 2 months at an average of 5%. This is according to the latest inflation data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, which shows that the food and non-alcoholic beverages index increased marginally by 0.7% between May and June 2024, while the prices of vegetables such as cabbages, spinach and kales, that is sukuma wiki, increased by 14.8%, 11.3% and 10.7% respectively. Jimmy Mbogo now tracks the inflation trends for the first half of the year that has seen the rate fall to its lowest rate in 4 years.
For the last 6 months, Kenya's inflation rate remained within the target range and dropping steadily, with data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics showing that as of January this year, inflation stood at 6.85% before falling to 6.31% in February. And as the country experienced steady increase in rainfall, inflation dropped to 5.70% in March and later down to 5% in April, before slightly rising in May to 5.1%. However, it is the June inflation that has stood out, dropping to 4.6%. Levels that were last seen in 2020, where in June that year, inflation stood at 4.59% before dropping to 4.20% in September of the same year.
And ordinarily, when you are trying to drive a narrative as the government, you'd identify items that are not used commonly, that the prices have fallen or that the prices you have control over, and you include them in the basket. And then after a while, you can now say inflation has dropped.
With Kenya's inflation being determined by food and fuel inflation, in January, basic food commodities saw the retail price of a kilogram of carrot increased by 57.2% year-on-year, while 1 kg of beef registered a 15.3% change in price. Kale, a staple of many households, saw a 4.9% change year-on-year, with a kilogram of tomato registering a 13.4% change. In February, the retail price of 1 kilogram of carrots changed by 40.7% year-on-year, as that of sugar rose by 30.2%, with a kg of beef recording 16.5% increase. Kale and tomato, however, saw a decline in their retail prices by 2.2% and 0.7% respectively. Same to 2 kilograms of sifted maize flour and fortified, which saw a decline of 12.2% and 13.8% respectively. A trend that would continue in March, where a kilogram of carrot, tomato and beef would record an increase of 26.1%, 1.3% and 16.6%, while cabbage and sifted maize flour would see a decline in retail prices at 3.4% and 20.9% change in price by the end of the month. This decline continued for the sifted maize flour in the months of April, May and June, where a 2 kilogram of sifted maize flour reduced by 23.7% in April, 28.1% in May and 33.2% in June year-on-year. Kenyans, however, say this is not enough.
Unga imeshuka ndio hatukatai, lakini huwezi kula unga peke yake. Unaona? Lazima ikuwe na mboga. Hiyo mboga lazima utumie mafuta. Mafuta haichashuka.
Chakula si constant, especially kama uko na watoto. Unajua mambo ya watoto. So katika monthly expenditure, food ndio the highest.
Tuseme vitu ya soko ndio tu iko na tatizo kidogo, sababu ya vile labda maji ilikuwa mingi, kama sai boga inunuliki, boga iko juu zaidi.
Vyambura Mwogi says it could be a while before Kenyans feel the impact of the reduced inflation figures.
And so even though inflation is low, the situation we find ourselves in is still dire.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.